Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Monday Q&A. So let's knock this out. First question. Hi Jason, does isometric training have any benefit on tendon and joint health and repair? And for those who don't know what isometric training is, that's usually holding against a stable weight at a fixed point so that there's no joint movement and just pressing against either like a fixed bar or a fixed weight against like a rack or something. Now, as far as this goes, does it do that? Of course it does. All resistance training can improve connective tissue, health, repair, recovery, things like that. Is it necessarily the most effective for doing so? No, isometrics is probably not even as good in many cases as doing normal training, full range of motion training for this. Although there are situations to where it puts less stress on certain things so that if you're recovering from an injury, it may be useful as a rehabilitation tool in many instances to where you have a certain joint angle specificity to where the connective tissue is healing and you can go to a different joint angle specificity to do the isometric holds that may let you build some strength and adaptation without stressing the connective tissue or the joints when you're trying to recover from an injury. And that's really kind of a case-by-case basis that needs to be assigned by a physical therapist. It's not really something you should be initiating on your own if you're recovering from an injury. So the difference is no, it doesn't stimulate better than full range of motion. It's just that in certain rehabilitation situations, it lets you take strain, particularly off a joint at a certain angle where you have something trying to heal. And again, that's not something you as a layman should really be sorting out yourself. That's kind of a professional area of expertise to assign a training protocol for something like that. All right, next question. How important is micronutrient intake when cutting if the individual is only concerned with retaining muscle mass for aesthetics? Okay, the person said in this that there was a little conversation after this, and they had said, no, they don't care about health at all. This is only for aesthetics, which this is really stupid because if you don't care about your health and only aesthetics, I'm sorry, but you're pretty much an idiot, and I really can't help you in life. But assuming, I'll go ahead and try to answer the question. The answer is at first, there won't be any difference. But if you do this for any prolonged period of time, what you're going to find is that things like metabolic functions get affected by micronutrient deficiencies. Energy levels get affected. So if metabolic functions get affected, but you're getting deficiencies and your metabolism is slowing down, you're going to find cutting more difficult. Certain deficiencies are going to reduce performance. They're going to make it harder to hold on to muscle mass. So you will be okay in the short term. But when you look at it over the prolonged period of time, yeah, it can be very detrimental, not just to your health, but to actually keeping your muscle mass and keeping your metabolism running nice and strong. So it's certainly not a good scenario for a prolonged period of time. And there's also the factor that if your diet is pretty deficient in micronutrients, it means you're probably not getting enough whole foods, which are the high satiety foods, and you're probably going to find your diet simply more difficult to adhere to than you might otherwise be able to. So it's really problematic. It's not something that I would really recommend is to have micronutrient deficiencies when you're cutting for those host of different reasons. It's just not ideal, even though in the short term, the first few weeks, it probably will have zero effects at all. It won't have any negative effects, but it will catch up to you eventually. So it's really not a wise idea. And you guys who do these ideas of, oh, I care about aesthetics and not my health, enjoy that sort of mindset while you're young. You get a little older and you're going to find that you don't have that mindset anymore. You're not going to appreciate anyone who does. All right, next question. Since you're now back in the Republic of Texas, yes, the great Republic of Texas, what do you realize you missed the most, and is there anything you miss now from the UK? High on the list, my cats. I love my cats. There's a lot going on with that. I'm probably never going to see my kitty cats again. So they're gone. And you know what? I spent a lot of time with them. The last day I was with them, I spent about 10 minutes holding each one of my cats, telling them I was sorry for leaving them. And I went and cooked them a giant steak and gave it to them, just as a parting gift to my little buddies. But outside of that, I really am going to miss most my friends in the BPU, a lot of the other lifters. There were some really awesome people there. And Indian food, I like Indian food. I'm not going to be able to get the proper curry sauces, and really to get a proper like chicken curry is in Texas is not going to happen. I'll have to replace it with Mexican food and get by. All right, next question. If you increase volume to bring up a lagging body part, do you have to keep the volume high to maintain the new size? No, not at all. Now, you might have to if it's a very large amount of volume and it's causing a little bit of extra, like transient storage factor to hold some extra glucose and things and muscle fullness. Maybe to a very, very small extent with that. But as far as maintaining the actual true size and the hypertrophy and everything, no, you'll be able to, once you gain that size with higher volume, you can cut the volume back and maintain it just fine. It's not a problem at all. And it's the same with frequency on that stuff. Just because you use a really high frequency training to make gains doesn't mean when you cut your frequency back that the gains are just going to magically disappear, or that you're not going to be able to make new gains. And in fact, it would be the same in either scenario, that just because you've used a very high volume or a very high frequency protocol to make additional progress, particularly gains in muscle mass. Now, it can be a little different with strength and neural efficiency, neuromuscular efficiency, but as far as the muscle mass, just because you made it that way doesn't mean you're not going to be able to go on and continue to make new gains, just albeit a little more slowly, but you should still be able to continue to make new gains, even in that lagging muscle that you've brought up using either one of those methods. Although when the frequency goes back, sometimes there can be loss of neuromuscular efficiency as far as gaining some strength. So no, this shouldn't really be a concern. It's fine. All right, next question. Hi, Jason. Squats are meant to be the best leg exercise, but I struggle to lift much more than body weight for 10 times 3. However, I can leg press 3 times my body weight. Should I give up on squats, or do you think it's worthwhile sticking with them? The fact that you only leg press 3 times what you squat tells me that you're really weak on the leg press, not the squat. And case in point, when I used to be a 585 raw squatter years ago, I could leg press, and that's for even a single, I could leg press 2,000 pounds for sets of 10. So we're talking 4 times my max squat for sets of 10. So the fact that you're only 3 times stronger on your leg press, you're not good on the leg press. And no, just because your squat isn't fantastic yet doesn't mean it's not going to get better. Keep doing your squats. They are one of the premier mass and, more importantly, premier strength builders out there. And I don't like to see anyone remove them from their program. And I don't know where you're getting this idea that because the leg press uses a higher number that you're better at it. No, if you only leg press triple what you squat, you suck at the leg press. So no, keep squatting. And even if you were good at the leg press, there would be no reason for you to replace squats with it. I don't understand why you would do that. Squats are fantastic. They're indispensable. I don't ever want to see a program without them if you are physically capable of doing them. All right, next question. Is there a tried and true way to legitimately increase your metabolism for the long term? Okay, this is stuff that people read too much into these things. Just because there are things that in the short term decrease your metabolism doesn't mean in the long term there are ways to just permanently increase it either. And I know a lot of people look at stuff like they'll see people out there go, well, this person added carbs and added activity, and over time they seem to get a better metabolism. No, they got a better TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, because as they slowly brought up food and slowly brought up activity, their energy went up. The extra food helped them train more, burn more. They put more fuel in and trained more. They used more activity over a prolonged period of time to increase their total energy turnover. But if they drop that activity back down, their metabolism will go back down accordingly. It's not their base metabolic rate that goes up, it's their activity, and they're having the food, they're giving it the fuel that needs to turn over this energy. That is actually a very good way to go about doing things for total fitness and work capacity, but it doesn't truly increase your metabolism permanently. It will return in 24 hours back to where it should be when you reduce the activity back down. The only way that actually works, it is a tried and true method to continually increase metabolism, is to gain muscle mass. Everything else is just about energy expenditure through activity and thermogenosis and other stuff. Muscle mass is the only thing you can really do, or take some sort of drug that increases your metabolic rate, or putting synthetic thyroid hormones in. But even that's temporary, because as soon as you come off of them, it goes back down. So muscle mass is really the only way to do it. Although all these things help, so it's kind of a question of, if you continue to do the extra activity and eat the extra food, then obviously the energy turnover will stay the same. But keep in mind, it is activity-based, not something that's adding to your base metabolic rate. Okay, next question. While running your novice program or any other program, is it better to stop 1 rep before failure or try it out and then probably fail? What I recommend, like when you're running my novice program, I want you guys to get almost to failure or to failure before you reset. But the thing is, when you hit, let's say you go and you hit the 4th rep and it is a serious grinder, it's much slower than the others. We'll count that. I would stop there and not hit muscle failure if you know you're not going to be able to get the next rep on my 5x5, which oftentimes you hit that 4th one and you know. And in that case, then no, don't hit failure if you don't have to. I don't recommend it on my sort of program. Now, there are certain types of programs with very high reps to where you do want to hit failure. It's probably beneficial, but for a program like mine, if you're getting really, really close and you hit that grinder on a 3rd or 4th rep, there's no need to go ahead and do that next rep that you know you're going to fail. So I recommend you don't do it in that case. All right, next question and last question of the week. Hey, Jason, do you think that creatine supplements are over-exaggerated in the market? And can a person reach his natural limits without ever using creatine? I've always had mixed feelings on creatine. You guys know I'm not a big fan of it. It does seem to work for a lot of people. The research supports it. However, in my experience, as I didn't try it as a novice, and I know other people who tried to use it after they were in intermediate or later, and they saw zero, nothing, not a zilch. What seems to happen, and what I think is really going on, is that it helps with like your ADP stores. And I think what it seems to do, because it seems to really help novices in the studies, about 60 to 70% of them, and the others are non-responders. I think what it seems to do is it helps you speed up that early training process to train your muscle tissue to hold more ATP. And I think that is the real thing with it. It speeds up a certain part of the noob gains process just slightly. But it doesn't seem to do anything once you become more advanced, at least just in my observation of myself and others. And I don't think there's even data showing so far in advanced lifters. They don't really study it in more advanced lifters to my knowledge. And I know I didn't see anything when I tried it several different times. So I think that's really the case, is that it does seem to just speed up noob gains just slightly. And so accordingly, will it affect your long-term overall potential? Probably not. Is it probably an effective tool for helping the noob speed up their early progress a little bit? Yeah, it seems to be, and the data seems to support it. So there you have it. It's not going to affect your true long-term potential, but if you're in the novice phase still, there's a very good chance it will help you speed up making through certain elements of your noob gains. All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Oh, Mount Bicepius.